Let's talk about gear for a podcast setup. I got 3 requirements for the setup. I want to be able to record on an SD card. I want to be able to interface with my computer, use it as an audio source in my computer, and I want to be able to have multi-track recording. Ideally multi-track inputs on the computer, but I'll settle with just being able to record multi-track on an SD card. Those are the 3 requirements. So let's dig into what I got, how it's going to set up, or at least how I envision it's going to set up, and how I compared it to other products that I determined at this point were not the right fit. We'll start at the beginning of the signal stream. So let's start with microphone, how I'm going to pick up and record my voice. The go-to kind of gold standard of podcast recording microphones is the Shure SM7B. That microphone is $400. Doing a little bit of research, I found that there was another microphone 1/4 the price, the Rode PodMic. This microphone was only $100. Similar quality is the Shure SM7B. And the reviews of this said that for the great value, very durable, high quality microphone, and it still picks up really good sound compared to the Shure SM7B. Not as good as the Shure SM7B, but pretty good. It also kind of looks cool. Visually, I do like the retro style, except that's gonna be irrelevant in a second, as you'll see. So I picked this up, at least to try this one out now. So let's open up this microphone. All right, speaking of this thing right out of the box, it is a very beefy, very weighty, heavy microphone. It does not feel like it's gonna break. This feels like a tank. So I got the microphone here. There's literally a little instruction packet, but there's nothing else in the box. Let's go over how I'm gonna mount it. I just got a regular microphone articulating arm, basic one off Amazon from Neewer. I'll probably eventually get one that has the built-in cable, so the cable is concealed. It just visually looks a lot better on camera. But for right now, I kind of just wanted to test the setup, and I always have uses for flexible arms and stuff. So I got this arm. I think it's about 20 bucks on Amazon. Also got Amazon Basics XLR cable, just regular run-of-the-mill XLR cable. Let's set this up. This has the setup where you could probably either do it from the bottom, rotate it like this, or have it hanging mounted from the top. Speak into it like this. It's got 2 thread sizes to make it easier to mount, and you don't need an adapter, which is nice. All right, on there for the sake of the video, I'm not gonna block my face, and so I'll have it mounted down below. You can check the text to make sure that you are facing it the right way so you get the proper pickup pattern, the way it was designed to pick up your voice. So I got the Rode reading upward, so now I know it is facing the right way. All right, got the arm. Now for the XLR. Now there is one other thing I got for this setup for the mic part, and I mentioned how visually it looks pretty cool. I like it's kind of got a little vintage vibe to the microphone, but I did buy a windsock for it. I'm only gonna use this more specifically if I'm doing voiceover work or just recording something specifically for the audio, and I'm not using the video. So for the podcast recording with the video, I probably will just keep it like this. I'll hear how it sounds. But for stuff where I'm either just doing an audio only podcast or I need to record voiceover work, I wanna make sure it's nice and clean and no stuff like that, I will be using the windscreen. And this is just a basic Amazon windscreen, couple bucks. It's designed to fit this PodMic. It is a very tight fit. All right, so now let's go over the mixers / the interface devices that I got for the computer. All right, it's a bit weird to be talking with the microphone in front of my face when the microphone's not on and recording. Okay, so we got the microphone, got it mounted on a stand, running through an XLR cable. What am I going to plug it into? So now this question was the one that posed the most challenge or the most options. With the microphone, it was pretty much immediately came clear that it was gonna either be the PodMic or the Shure SM7B. With the mixer / interface device, there were a lot more choices. So the standard mixer, recorder, podcast interface device that's kind of become the standard in podcasting is the RODEcaster Pro. Now this thing, I mean, it looks really cool. The reviews I've seen, all very glaring reviews. It's got 4 XLR inputs, 4 outputs for headphones. It's got built-in recording. It's got lots of buttons where you can program sound effects. You can do other things with it. It's got a lot going for it. Definitely seems like it's a very good setup if you're just looking for a complete all-in-one kit with a mixer that has a lot of options and controls, especially filters over the audio quality and how you're processing your audio inputs. It has recording. You can interface with the computer. You could stream out your mix. If you're looking for a really easy all-in-one setup, it definitely looks like a really great option. The one thing that I didn't like about it was it records to micro SD. Nothing wrong with micro SD. They're just very small cards. I just feel better recording SD cards. That's probably my only pet peeve about it. All right, the RODEcaster Pro has a lot of really great reviews. It is $600 though, which is a big investment for a device where I don't really think I need all the features right now. Not saying I'm not gonna get in the future, but it's just a lot of money for a lot of stuff that I'm probably not gonna be using, at least not right now. Moving down the range, other mixer slash recorder is the Tascam Mixcast. 4 XLR inputs with sliders and buttons. Maybe it didn't have like the nicest looking interface or as nice as the RODEcaster. Similar price range, a little $50 cheaper, it's $550. The Tascam, it's a similar deal, pretty much same features as the RODEcaster, but also same price point. So I'm kind of in the same boat where it's a bit more money for features that I'm probably not gonna need. Yeah, next option down, still a little bit higher. Wanted to dig around, see what else there is. Other option is the Zoom PodTrak P8. So it actually has more XLR inputs. This has 6 XLR inputs. Some of the reviews said it lacked the same filters and processing as the RODEcaster Pro, but it's about $100 cheaper. It's $500. With more XLR inputs, if you need that. I mean, 4 already for me was plenty. I really kind of just needed at least 2. The Zoom PodTrak, the P8, again, similar deal, similar to the RODEcaster and the Tascam, but again, more features than I will probably need or want right now. So that was another option. So then I was like, okay, if I'm not looking at the options of the mixer slash built-in recorder that is very targeted at podcasting, what are my other options? So I did look at the interface devices where like, what if I just wanted to plug this into my computer and just completely rely on the computer? Now I did say before that I want to be able to record on an SD card, but I was figuring, okay, maybe with the computer, I have some like older Tascam recorders. Maybe I could kind of just use this as a pass-through, record on that and then send it to the computer, which I could do. It's just a little bit more analog that I would prefer. And it definitely doesn't have the multi-track interfacing that I was talking about, or that was another one of my requirements. Moving down the list, I was like, let me just explore. Maybe there's an inexpensive device where I could just interface. There are 2 main devices that are well-reviewed XLR to USB inputs where you can just plug it into USB on your computer, plug in an XLR, got any built-in preamps that you might need, or phantom power to power the microphone, and you're good to go. You just plug it in as an audio source. The 2 main ones are the Focusrite Scarlett and the Elgato Wave XLR. They're in the $150 to $200 price range, so pretty reasonable. The Scarlett had an option where you could have 2 XLR inputs. That was closer to the $200 price range. The Elgato option was just 1 XLR input, had a big, nice knob though, but that one's definitely like all Elgato products. Gamers are their main market, so it's a way to plug in your microphone via XLR, get into your computer, and have a nice big knob if you need to adjust your volume or your input levels. These 2 devices, the Elgato and the Scarlett, while they're really good at what they do, plug in an XLR into the computer, they don't have the recording that I want, a separate SD recording. At max can handle 2 sources, but really they're designed for like 1 source. So a little bit too specialty for what I was looking for. So I'm like, all right, maybe there's something else. And there is. And if you haven't guessed, it's the thing that's sitting right next to me. So the Zoom, I mentioned they had the PodTrak, the P8, which had, I don't know why they call it P8, because it has 6 XLR inputs, but I guess it has a total of 8 XLR inputs. There's probably 2 other inputs that are maybe 1/4-inch inputs that I missed. But anyways, they have a smaller version called the P4. And as you can see, it has 4 XLR inputs. But not only that, it is a much smaller profile device. It does not have sliders, but it does have knobs where you can adjust levels. You also have 4 audio outputs for headphones. So if you had 4 guests, you could adjust their audio. Obviously not as nice of a screen as the RODEcaster Pro has, but it looks like it gets the job. And also, according to my requirements, it is a built-in recorder and it records 2 SD cards, the bigger cards, the cards that I like. It does interface with a computer, so you can plug this into your computer, and according to its specs, it says it will have 2 inputs and 2 outputs. I am not sure yet if I can direct which of those inputs are the inputs and what the outputs are the outputs. So that's cool, and also very cool that I could have inputs from the computer, like if I wanted to send Zoom audio or some other audio and have another backup source recording that or mixing it in with this. That would be possible. It records multi-track here, and it says it can send out the 2 streams. I just don't know what those 2 streams are. And price point, $200. So a lot less expensive than the bigger mixers that were very podcast specific, a lot more flexible than the just straight up XLR to USB interfaces that I mentioned. And it's also portable, it's battery powered, so if I wanted to take this on the road, use it as a field recorder, I could do that. So, this is what I got. Let's open it up. Let me get the SD card in there. The nice thing about this you might have seen was it comes with AA batteries. But the other cool thing is, and this was a concern of mine, was if I plug it into the USB, is it gonna have to make me choose between, do I wanna use the USB to power the device, or do I wanna use the USB as an interface for the device to the computer? Fortunately, it has 2 USB ports, so I don't have to choose. It can do both. So I could use one USB-C to power the device, and the other USB-C to use this as the interface device for the computer. Okay, it seems like I didn't need to format the card, and I can record for 7 hours on this 32 gigabyte card. Okay, so I know that these shortcuts are actually pad sound effects that you can program. You can also adjust the source of the sound here. So it has a lot of the features, I believe, that come in the other devices. You just have to, it's just a lot more difficult to navigate because you have these like very minimal buttons and controls. But I don't really care about that much. I don't really care about the sound effects, don't really care about being able to hit a pad and be like, I just want an interface device that can record. Got our 4 XLR inputs here, up top here, easy switches where I can choose what kind of source it is. So if it's a microphone, if it is, or if I need to send out phantom power, if it's a phantom power microphone. These two, I can, oh, it looks like I can choose if this one's a USB source. Oh, if I want to use my computer audio instead, I can switch to that. And then this one has a phone icon. So the other cool thing is there's an extra accessory that I did not buy that you would plug in here, and it is basically a Bluetooth antenna that can connect with your phone, and you can use your phone's audio as a source via Bluetooth. I didn't get it because I'd rather hardwire plug in my phone if I'm using it as an audio source. I wouldn't trust Bluetooth for anything mission critical that I would want to send over here. But cool that it has it. And then on the bottom you have 4 audio headphone jacks. But you can also use this as audio out, I assume. And then each jack has its own volume control level. So volume for the headphones, volume for the input levels. And then you got a very basic screen right here where you get your audio levels and stuff. All right, so let's plug it into audio 1. And then I'm gonna have to set this to phantom power because this microphone does not have batteries built into it. Oh, and then it looks like you also have buttons here if you need to quickly mute source. Testing 1, 2, testing, and you can see the levels coming in on the microphone. All right, let's give this thing a try. Testing 1, 2, looks like my levels are pretty high. Testing 1, 2, testing 1, 2. Obviously I would plug in headphones and monitor this. This is how the microphone sounds with the windscreen. Hopefully it's working. I can't hear anything right now. I also have no idea how this microphone sounds, but this is not a test to test out the quality of this microphone. I'm also in a very echoey room, large room right now. This is not the best microphone test. I will test out this microphone in the future along with some other microphones that I have and some that I might get. So if you want to check that out, hit the subscribe button. Yeah, this is a setup that I have now. I will integrate this into the studio, do a follow-up video with how it runs, how it works, if it's working well, and if I upgrade other future things like this device here. If you've used this device, let me know in the comments, but also if you have your own setup that is different, I would love to know what you've been using and what your thoughts are about that. And with that, thanks for watching. I will see you in the next episode.